Hello, I'm Michelle Brown. Welcome to Choosing a Major and Career. In this session today, we are going to learn some steps and some resources on how to make a good decision about your future major and career. So let's get started. And before we get started, if you would grab a piece of paper and a pencil, because we will be doing some activities throughout the presentation. And I would like for you to take some notes on some of the questions that I'm going to be asking you. So the flow of the presentation, we'll start out with some activities, a career exploration profile, an activity to talk about your work personality. We will talk about how to research careers and work environments, and then we'll talk about resources that we have. So let's get started. So first of all, if you have your pencil and paper, I'm going to go through and ask you some questions about each of these different areas. So you see on here, this looks like a puzzle, and that is kind of how choosing a major and career is. It's putting together the puzzle pieces of interest, skills, values, and personality, and thinking about each of those parts and how they affect your major and career choice. If you would start off by jotting down some of what you have done so far. And this could be part-time jobs, internships, volunteering, clubs, organizations, sports, music, any kind of activity that you liked or even disliked that kind of shapes your past experiences. This could be from high school or community college or whatever place that you're in right now, ASU experiences as well. And as you're thinking about those different experiences, jot down what was interesting about those experiences. So with the sports that you might have had, what did you really enjoy about that? Did you enjoy the competition, the physical activity, being a part of a team? All of those could be aspects that you enjoyed. If you had a part-time job and maybe it was waiting tables, well, if you really liked interacting with the public, or if you liked being in a fast-paced environment, or if you liked being around different types of food or hospitality, you can jot that down as well. Through volunteering, what did you learn that you enjoyed? Did you enjoy helping the elderly? Did you enjoy building houses? Did you enjoy planning a project as part of the service? So all of that, think about what was interesting to you as part of those activities. Other questions that you could ask for interest is, what are those careers that you've thought about in the back of your mind that you continue to go back to, that you think about from time to time? Oh, that sounds interesting. Or it could be something that you've seen on TV or a family member has done. So think about those careers that just kind of pop into your mind every now and then that just sound interesting. Other interests might include the types of classes that you traditionally enjoy. And this doesn't always mean that these are the ones you excel in, but just the classes that you purely enjoy for the sake of learning. And this doesn't even have to be ones that you're considering as a major. They could be, but just the classes that are interesting to you, the types of subjects that are interesting. Other interests might include hobbies. Like, what do you do when you have free time? What activities do you like doing? This could be hiking. This could be hanging out with your animals or dogs, being with friends. It might be playing video games. So you can put anything on your interest that is work related or not, or hobby related. And let's move on to talents and skills. And sometimes this is the hard one to identify, but maybe just start with the types of classes that come naturally to you. So do the writing classes or English, literature, languages, or are you more of a science and math kind of person? Or is it more hands-on that you find comes easy to you? So jot down those types of classes that are just a natural fit. Another question might be, if friends, family, people close to you, what do they say about you? What kinds of skills or talents would they say that you have? Or maybe a supervisor has provided you feedback. What do they say about you? And just also put down here what you think about as those transferable skills or soft skills that you have. That could be you're good at being organized, or you're good at listening to people. You're the person that others come to with problems, or you're really good with hands-on work. You're good at tangible, working with objects, machinery, equipment. You're creative. This could be in a music way or just the way you think, the way you approach your assignments. You come at it with more of a creative or using your imagination type of approach. All of those could be skills. And then we'll move on to values. So these could be work or life values. And a value is something that is important to you. It might be what you base your decisions on. It's something that's meaningful to you as far as your work and life. So areas to think about might be when you think about a work environment, what are those characteristics that you'd like to have? So for example, a very popular comment that I hear is, I don't want to work behind a desk all day. Well, what does that look like? What does that mean that you would like to have as part of your day-to-day work? Maybe some time at the computer, time moving around, being a part of a group, working individually. Do you see yourself working with something tangible? Do you want to be around people all the time? Do you like the idea of competitive work? So all of those could be part of your values. And then just those characteristics of life that are important to you. So for example, family, or where you live, community, being involved in the community, those could all be values as well. And in a couple of slides, we'll do an activity that discusses values as well. So we'll come back to that. And then your personality. If you've ever taken Myers-Briggs, you could jot that down here. That's the letters like the INFJ, ESTJ. So if you're familiar with that, you could jot that down. But also just your personality. What kinds of words would you use to describe who you are as a person? Okay. And this might be what people have told you, that you're friendly and compassionate, or you're really outgoing, you have a lot of energy, you're quiet, more reserved. Those types of words could go in this section. So now that we've done that activity, we're going to take a look at your work personality. So I'm going to go through 6 themes and describe those. And as I'm going through these 6 themes, you can jot down words or phrases that sound meaningful to you. And what you're doing is looking for those 2 to 3 themes that you think best describe you. Okay, so let's get started. The first one is realistic. These are the doers, and these are folks that are drawn to hands-on work, working in nature, outdoors, agriculture, but also the big picture of this is that hands-on, the doing, being physically active. That common sense would also be a value of someone that is realistic. Investigative. These are the thinkers, the research problem solvers. So these are folks that are searching for information in an inquisitive way. They're curious, maybe intellectual, and are trying to find answers and solutions to problems, often in a scientific or mathematical type of way. But just the bigger picture here is that thinking and research and the kind of the quest for solutions. The next one's artistic, and these are the creators. So these are folks that are drawn to creativity, imagination, being original, thinking outside the box, and in a variety of different ways. It could be related to music, arts, writing, literature, those areas, but just in general tend to be a creative thinker, creative processor. Social, these are the helpers. And this one doesn't necessarily mean, if you don't relate it necessarily to being an extrovert, because the theme here is helping others in some way. It doesn't necessarily mean you're a social person, like outgoing, wanting to be around people all the time. It means that you have a draw to help others. And this could be mentor, counsel, teach, all those helping behaviors. And you might be described as warm, empathetic, and compassionate, and a good listener. Enterprising, these are the persuaders. So these are folks that are drawn to motivating, leading, influencing others in some way. You might be drawn to competition, risk-taking, entrepreneurial activities, but also working independently and being that kind of confident, independent thinker in a group setting, okay? And this could be related to business or government, nonprofit kind of work, but the big idea here is you want to motivate and influence in some way. And conventional, these are the organizers. These are folks that are drawn to organizing in some way. This could be data, information, technology, office management tasks. These people are often quiet, conscientious, making everything work efficiently and smoothly. And when you combine these together, so if you've thought about your three themes that best describe you in order, like which one do you think is strongest for you, and then second, and then third, you can combine these together to form kind of your mission statement or a goal statement of how you would like to do your work. And we'll do an activity in just a minute where you can work on doing that. So for me, I'm a helper. At the end of the day, I help people every day. So that's my key kind of motivator. And then bringing in some of those artistic themes. So helping people think creatively in a setting that's independent, but also has collaborative work. You could take some of these words and interchange them. So for example, if let's say enterprising was identified as my first theme, this might look more like I am a leader. I want to lead others in some way. And so I want to lead others in an collaborative work environment that is creative. So depending on which one of your themes is first, that might help shape the kind of work that you want to do and what you want as those kind of primary characteristics in your work. You might not know exactly what you want to do, but if you can identify some of the characteristics and that are important to you and skills that you want to use, personality traits that you feel like would play a part in your work, you can start with that foundation and then look to see, okay, well, what kind of majors or jobs fit in with this? Okay, so take a minute and jot down, and this could be words and phrases you've already written down or just ones that come to your mind. This can be, you want to kind of base it on the themes that you selected. Okay, so I am, and right here you might use some of those words that from that first theme that would describe you. And what do you want to do? Now, you may not know what you want to build or design or who you want to help, but if you primarily know you want to help, maybe put that there. If you know you want to lead in some way, or if you want to research or problem solve, put that there. And then who's going to benefit from the action, okay? So I want to research disease in a healthcare setting. So who would benefit from that? In a work environment, what kind of work environment do you want to be in? Do you want to be in a collaborative or more independent, behind the scenes kind of environment? And what do you want that to look like? So jot some words and phrases down there. And now we're going to do an activity on values to get you thinking about that first section that we looked at. Sometimes values are hard to identify, but it's something that can be so important and really influence maybe where you do the work or what kind of career that you go into. You can look at your major as a foundation that maybe takes you in different directions, and those values can help shape those directions that you go into with your major. So what I'd like for you to do is think about this scenario. You're single, you just graduated from college, and you're getting ready to leave for a new job. And yeah, you have 4 different job offers, so that's exciting. But you have some decisions to make about which one you would pursue. And I want you to think about these scenarios and which job that you think that you would go with, and think about why that is the one that you chose. Okay, so the first one, this is well-paying position in a large corporation. So think about a large business kind of setting, large corporation, and what that might look like, and think about, okay, does that fit with my values and who I am? And then a nonprofit community service organization, an NGO, and this of course could look a lot of different ways, from a state, federal, local government to a nonprofit that serves the homeless population. So think about that one. A public service government job. So this one actually would be the one that's more related to the local, state, federal government. The nonprofit one would be more the working with homeless, those kinds of areas, or animal rights, that kind of thing. A public service government job would look more like it could be a university or a college setting. It could be you're a town manager. It could be the state bureau or federal bureau of investigation. So many opportunities there. And then the seasonal work, that's location-based. So this could be that kind of tourist area, or it could be like a small community feel that's in just a really cool place that you've visited. And this might be more of that seasonal work that you know is not going to be permanent, but more to just get your foot in the door and see what happens next. So think about the one that you would choose and think about why. And that can help shape your values in that. Well, if you think about, okay, the well-paying large corporation, that would be someone that maybe values some competition or upward mobility or financial stability, potentially in a work environment that provides opportunity for growth. Okay. And then nonprofit, this might be the more helping, the value, the doing some sort of social service, community service work as part of what you do. Okay. Whether it's the direct or behind the scenes, there's lots of ways to do that, but that value of giving back in some way, helping society in some way as part of your work. Public service government, same thing, but what comes into play there may be the benefits, the retirement, those kinds of things that you feel like a government type of job would bring to you. And then the seasonal work, this is one that might really be based on getting to a geographic location you're really interested in. Okay, so this might be, or you might have that that risk taking, that fear of I'm just going to go somewhere I really like and see what happens next kind of mentality. And or it may be that you think you want to pursue the kind of work like music or art where you know you have to get somewhere and develop that, and you're going to kind of work part-time in a job while you're developing that skill and getting contacts in an area. So I think of like New York or a big city like that where you know you need to be to make those connections, but maybe you're doing work that is just kind of seasonal and you're okay with that. Okay. And jot those down in your values section, whatever you came up with there. So now we're going to move into some online resources for career search. Okay, so that first part, we're sort of brainstorming, thinking about who you are as a person and jotting that down, and see if some themes are coming up, right? What are those themes that are coming up for you and the information that you're writing down about yourself? And then the next step would be to see, okay, I've identified some majors and possible jobs, and let's do some research, some homework on those and see what those look like. So let's start with this first one, the careers.appstate /discover. And what you can do here, so if you go to that site and there's the themes that we just spoke about, and you can find some really great information based on each of those themes. So if you have your top 3 themes that you picked, maybe you want to look at all 3 of those that go along with that. And what you can find is information about the realistic personality. Where do they often work? What are the majors that go along with some of the realistic folks? And if you look at them, they make sense. These are very hands-on majors. And what are some of those realistic career titles? This, of course, isn't everything, but it does give you a good snapshot of what that would look like. And here are some of those characteristics about realistic people. And so if you have all 3 of those themes and you look at them side by side, maybe what you can do is look to see, okay, I really like a couple of these realistic majors, but maybe there's a minor on, let's say investigative is your next theme. There's a minor on there that I should look into where I could combine that with my major and really bridge together a couple of different interests that I have. Okay. Or maybe you think about, I'm realistic, I'm going to do this major in biology, but I also may like may have an interest in helping in some way, or a community service kind of field. So maybe your major is biology, but you end up doing something that's like in environmental education with at-risk youth, or something like that that may bridge those interests together. Okay. And then the next thing you can do is at careers.appstate/careers in my major is you can look up majors, and we'll look at anthropology. And this is going to give you information on related career titles and internship options and where anthropology majors get jobs and get employment. And this is all ASU based information that we've gathered. And this can give you ideas of, help you think outside the box, because originally, if you saw anthropology, you may have thought, okay, they become a professor or an anthropologist. Well, that would be a PhD. So what do you do with an undergraduate degree in anthropology? And you have to think about what are those skill sets, those key skills that you're gaining from the major, like critical thinking and field research and being able to interview people and think about questions that you ask and how to ask good questions and how to do good research, and what are those skills and how might they apply in different types of settings. And this Careers in My Major page can help you do that. Okay. ONET Online is also a great place to gather information on careers. It will allow you to look up work tasks. You can research job outlook and salary. This bright outlook means that the social and community service managers are growing faster than average. And you can find this information for any career title that you look at. The Discover Careers related to your interest and work personality. If you want to go to advanced search and then go to interest, you can plug in your 3 themes and see what kinds of job titles align with those 3 themes. Another great way to research careers and do career exploration, and also schedule career counseling appointments and look for part-time jobs, internships, full-time jobs, and a wealth of other information on Handshake. But for right now, we'll talk about how you use this for career exploration. That's a great way to see what's out there right now in different types of fields. So if you log into Handshake, and then you're going to do just a broad search. So let's say, not sure exactly what you want to do, but you have this interest in video and maybe editing. If you keep that search broad and just put in video, then you can look over here and see what comes up with that. Okay, and so I've selected this one, the video production internship with Georgia Aquarium. Well, who knows? Who knew that you could combine your interest in video editing and maybe animals or aquatics or something like that. So it helps you think kind of outside the box of how you might bridge together different interests. And if you look at that, this is going to take you to the page for the Georgia Aquarium internship, and then you can click on their website to find more information about what they do and what that position looks like. Okay, so another great tool for looking at what's out there right now so that you can see, okay, it just helps it make it more tangible, your options of what you can do within different fields. Okay. And this is just a popular question. What if I'm interested in everything? So you might find yourself interested in multiple things, or trying to figure out what you're interested in. Okay, so we'll look at, if you're interested in everything and maybe you're trying to bridge different interests or eliminate something, I don't necessarily think you ever have to eliminate an interest. That doesn't mean that you can major in all of your interests, but maybe that interest comes in a different way, or maybe that interest isn't happening right now with your major or your job, but it might resurface later in your life if you change what you do, or if you go back to grad school, or if it just comes up in some other way. That can happen. So maybe it helps to think, okay, I'm not letting go of this interest. It's just going to come out in a different way. So one way to bridge multiple interests might be to think of that major as a foundation, and you connect it to other experiences. And this could be leadership. It could be a volunteer position. It might be a part-time job. It could be a minor that you bridge together, but you have to make sure that minor or that concentration fits in with your academic plan. So definitely work with your advisor to make sure that's happening. Okay, and this just gives you some different examples of how you might bridge together some different areas and what that can look like. And you can think creatively about how that happens. So psychology and the arts, they seemingly may not have a lot to do with each other, but if you look at this, so you're getting psychology, the human service concentration, and maybe you get a part-time job on campus with the Turchin Center. Business in the environment, several ways to do this, but one might be a management major and a minor in sustainable development, and you're a president with an environmental club on campus. That's that leadership piece coming in. In English and community service, English with a grant writing, fundraising, internship with nonprofit or government organization. Okay, so that might be a way to bridge that together. And if you're trying to identify interest and it's your first year on campus or maybe second year, one way to do that might, we'll do all of these activities that we've already talked about, and think about what do you go back to? What's that kind of thing in your head, that career in your head that you keep going back to? Well, that's an interest. And I think it's worth exploring anything that you're thinking about over and over. But also, if you haven't had the chance to maybe get involved, that's another way to develop interest through a club or organization or something, that hobby that you do in your free time. Really think about that. What does that mean? Or maybe if you're trying to develop an interest, but you maybe go back to that one value that you have, and that value is, I just know I want to live somewhere really warm near the beach or something like that. And so it's maybe more about where I live, and my lifestyle is really important to me. Well, then think about, well, what's the industry? What happens in places like that? So tourism, maybe real estate, those kinds of areas could be interesting to you if you're really location based. So that could be one way to start that too. And this is a slide that shows you an assessment that we offer. So if you've looked at this and maybe this has helped you, these activities have helped you hone in on what you want to do. But if you feel like you want more, we can definitely help with that. And we can offer you self-assessment inventories. One of those is called Focus. And it's based on those 6 themes that we looked at earlier. And it gives you information about majors and jobs related to those 3 themes that show up for you. You're going to answer a lot of questions about who you are in it, and then it connects your interests, skills, values, and personality, and shows you majors and jobs that match all of those areas. So pretty cool information, and you get to keep that information. It's all online, and you can go back and research it as much as you want. And then strong interest inventory is another self-assessment inventory that we offer. It digs deeper than Focus. It asks you more questions, more in-depth questions. They're both great tools. Strong might be one that is a follow-up appointment, or it could be one that we offer as just if you've maybe switched majors several times and really need to dig a little bit deeper. But both are really helpful and offer great information on majors and jobs for students. And all of those can be scheduled, or to take those self-assessment inventories, you schedule those through Handshake. And then as well as other types of appointments can be scheduled through Handshake too. But if this has been helpful, we're really glad, but just know that you can do follow-up appointments one-on-one to work on choosing a major as well. And thank you for your time, and we are here to help you with your choosing a major journey at App State.